Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to My Hero Academia Season 5, Episodes 19 and 20. Because that's the issue with taking a week off, is that once you come back, if I'm going to stay up to date, and I'm going to avoid the spoilers, I'm going to have to catch up. I'm going to have to do both of the episodes. The episode that I missed last week and now this week's episode. So, yeah. One downside for sure to taking a week off. But it was worth it. It refreshed me and everything, so I'm ready to get to it. So, yeah, we were continuing off with the Todoroki family stuff. Endeavor was just continuing to try and make things better and trying to figure out how to do that, deciding by the end that he probably just needs to separate himself from his family for the time being in order to be able to reconnect those bonds in the future. And that's kind of just where we left off. That's kind of what we had to go off of last time. I'm not 100% sure if this arc is over, because again, I know there's supposed to be one more arc in this season. So I'm not entirely sure if this arc is over yet, but it kind of felt like it was. I guess we'll have to see. All I know is that people are super excited for the next arc. And I'm excited to see what it's about myself. I can already guess, because I do unfortunately know what the name of the arc is. Wasn't able to avoid that spoiler, unfortunately. But oh well. Just a bunch of dumbasses, like, not even acknowledging that people could be anime only, basically. But, I mean, too late now, so just have to roll with it. But yeah, I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely interested to see where we go from here in this season, because this season's been fantastic. I don't care what anyone says. I don't think any quote-unquote slowness in this season has harmed it at all. In fact, I think that this season's been one of the best of the series so far. I think that what we've got has been so drastically important and necessary and extremely well handled that it just impressed pretty much every week. And we'll have to see what they do after the fact. But, I say we just get on with it. I say we just see what these next two episodes have in store, and we'll hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, it's finally begun. The long-awaited, highly praised, My Villain Academia has begun. This is something I was unable to avoid hearing the title of before. Again, I don't know like the context behind this arc. I don't know like a lot of the depth of it all and the specifics. I just knew the title going in. And obviously, there are some things you can interpret about that. The fact that the arc is called My Villain Academia very much implies that this entire arc is going to center around the villains. That our heroes are not going to be the focus at all, and honestly, might not even be shown much at all. Um, because it's not, the arc is clearly about the villains, and by with the title literally replacing the title of the series, replacing the hero in that with villain, it very much implies that this arc is entirely focused on our villains, which is really cool because let's be honest, while a lot of the heroes, a lot of the students and everything are really popular amongst fans, most of the fans also really love the villains. Like, they are extremely popular. And I know it's like, how do I put this? I know it's kind of like a stereotypical thing to say, but it's like obviously one of my favorites, and honestly, who I would consider my favorite is Himiko. Um, a lot of people, I say it's stereotypical to say because Himiko is excessively popular, one of the most popular villains for sure, from what I've seen, along with the likes of Shigaraki and all. But everyone just seems to love Himiko. There's a shit ton of art for her. Everyone constantly loves to see her. So I'm definitely with that group who just is really excited to see so much more of her in this arc. Um, Especially with her new pink duffel coat. But seriously, I am really excited. Um, but before we get into this second episode of the week, episode 20, I do want to talk quickly about episode 19, which I think was supposed to be still the previous arc, unless My Villain Academia did just start with something more with the heroes because the villain uh Kurogiri was so relevant to it still. So while everything at the school continues as normal, Aizawa and Present Mike are called out by the police to help them interrogate Kurogiri. And it's revealed that Kurogiri is a Nomu, which, again, as I said in the reaction, I had known about. I had heard about that before. I don't remember actually where it was I heard that, but I did hear it. So another spoiler I did know without context, luckily. I say luckily because it was without context. I really wish I hadn't been spoiled on that, but at least it was just a small, tiny bit of it. What I didn't know is that Kurogiri as a Nomu um, is was created from the corpse of a close friend of both Aizawa and Present Mike. Uh, Aizawa and Present Mike we knew had a long-standing connection, and we see that they had a third friend when they were in school in class 2A. And we see that during work studies, he ended up getting crushed under a collapsing building and killed. And apparently, at some point after that, his body was switched out for a double, and he was turned into Kurogiri by All for One and this Daruma guy, who I still swear, he looks just like the doctor who told Deku that he didn't have a quirk when he was a kid. And who even explained the entire thing about like the extra joints in the toes or whatnot. Like that, it has to be the same doctor, right? And if so, that's insane. That is an insane connection. But either way, um, so he was turned into a Nomu, and so Aizawa and Present Mike are there to try and like see if they can get through to him a little bit and get some information regarding things. And this is without question the most emotional we've ever seen Aizawa get. Like, he broke at this, especially after his friend Oboro managed to peek through very briefly, showing that he's still in there, which is also kind of horrifying. If you think about it, the idea that his consciousness is still deep within Kurogiri is actually legitimately terrifying, because it implies that he's been there, just unable to control his body or his anything. He's just been kind of a passenger this entire time, watching his body used for evil, and it's like, oh my god, that's horrible. That is definitely what that implies to me, and that's just it makes me think of this recurring thought I have every time I see any piece of media involving zombies. I always kind of have this thought of, what if the person is still in there? What if the person is still in there and is noticing all of this happening with their body? And it also comes from another idea I've always had with zombie films, with the entire idea, like, who I always wonder, and this is, from what I've heard, actually very uncommon. A lot of people don't wonder about this, but I always wonder every time I see anything involving zombies, every time I see a zombie, just period, I always wonder, like, who was that person? What did they do when they were alive? Who were they? What kind of person were they? I always wonder that kind of thing. I always just genuinely wonder who those zombies used to be. I wonder about their family life, about their friends, about their jobs, about their just hobbies and lives in general. And so it's maybe because of that I also wonder, like, could they still be in there, and what would that be like for them? And even though you kind of know that they're probably not, that is almost guaranteed to not be the case, you still kind of wonder. And so it's kind of the same situation here. If this is true, and like, Oboro's consciousness is still in Kurogiri, that's horrifying. And as was made a very big point of, Nomus have retained some of the personality traits and stuff from their human lives. So it's like, and not all of them, but some of them have, and it's just absolutely, it makes them so much worse. Like, I never like really saw the Nomus as extremely frightening or unsettling or disturbing or anything. Like, they were definitely creepy, and I definitely was disturbed by them a little bit, but it was never to any great degree. But this pushed it over the edge. And seeing how much it was affecting both Present Mike and Aizawa, to see Aizawa just legitimately crying that hard over it, to see Present Mike so just serious and upset, that's what did it. That's what made it so disturbing. Not just the fact that Oboro is still in there, but the fact that it affected Oboro's friends so much that it broke them. And so it's like, that was just, I didn't even know how to react most of the time watching that. I was in kind of shock and just horror, because that is horror. Horror is not just jump scares or monsters or slashers. This kind of shit is horror too. The idea of being trapped in your body while it's completely out of your control is horrific. It's absolutely terrifying. But through this, we learned a lot about Kurogiri. And even though he fought back against it and was able to break it before too much information was released. We also found out that Kurogiri is kind of controlled, that he's not like fully like his actions aren't fully his own, which is interesting as well because that is not at all what I expected. That goes completely against what I thought about Kurogiri because it definitely seemed like he had full agency with his actions and thoughts, but finding out that's not the case at all, it's like, oh, okay. But it raises a lot more questions because Kurogiri's been there for a while, and so why are other smart Nomu only starting to show up now, and why is he so much more advanced than even the other smart Nomu we've seen? Why is Kurogiri so drastically advanced over all the other Nomu? There has to be a very specific reason, and I'm wondering what it is. Um, but, but, then we get into episode 20, the start of My Villain Academia for sure. And we see, we kind of go back into the past where Shigaraki is tasked with taming Gigantomachia. He has to tame him in order to gain his respect because Gigantomachia is, yeah, very disdainful of this entire situation. He sees that that Shigaraki is meant to succeed his master all for one, but he also does not believe it's the right call because he believes that Shigaraki is too weak to do so. Which I still wonder how he determined that. Does he again, they made a point of noting how he can have multiple quirks without body modification. So does he have some kind of quirk within him that allows him to read like power levels, like a Dragon Ball Z Scouter style? Um, but then there's also the question of like he's seemingly able to completely and easily track Shigaraki no matter where he goes. So does he have a tracking quirk too? There's so many questions that this kind of thing raises. But we see that Shigaraki fights Gigantomachia in kind of these 48-hour shifts, I think it was, for over a month. The other members of the league take shifts sleeping because he's literally only chasing after Shigaraki. And there's only 3 hours where Gigantomachia sleeps at a time, which gives very little time for Shigaraki to get any sleep or any kind of rest at all. But while they're in the middle of this, they are contacted by ReDestro, the leader of the Meta Liberation Army. We had briefly seen a glimpse at this guy before, but not actually seen him in his entirety outside of in the opening. And he is one of those villains who is excessively confident, but seems to be able to back it up. Because there's two types of super overconfident villains: the ones who can back it up and the ones who can't. It's literally that simple. There are plenty of villains within media who talk a big game and in the end just really can't back it up. They just get annihilated by the heroes, or they're just not really a threat. They have this massive ego. They have an exceedingly high level of confidence in their abilities and their plans, and it just doesn't work out for them pretty much at all, ever. A goofier example of this would actually, funnily enough, be Heinz Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb. I'm not even joking here. He is always exceedingly confident in his plans, in his innator gadgets, and he always believes he's going to win. He always believes that his current plan is always the best and that it's always going to succeed this time. And it never does. He's always thwarted every single time. and his confidence is unwarranted, but he still has it and he still keeps going. And in a way, that's almost admirable. But you can see he's the kind of guy who can't back up his words. Redestro definitely seems like the opposite of that. He definitely seems like he can back it up. Not only has he kidnapped Giran and possibly injured him, but he has an active satellite camera watching the League of Villains at all times. He seems to be pretty well off based on that and what we've seen just generally. He seems like he has the monetary availability to enact a lot. This plan's been going on for, as he mentioned, generations. So this has been a really long-standing plan that he has probably been working on since he was really young. I don't know how old he's supposed to be, but this is a guy who needs to be taken seriously. This is a guy who can back up everything he says and will make a point of proving that to you. And he definitely seems, I wouldn't say more slimy than Shigaraki, but he seems like he's more willing to sacrifice anyone to do it. While Shigaraki, as we know, is actually extremely loyal to his followers and friends. We've seen that on numerous occasions. So, and it was even mentioned in the episode. It does not seem like Redestro probably has that same ideology. He does not seem like he's going to be a very loyal leader for this army. He's definitely comes across to me as the guy who believes in uh the ends justify the means, casualties for the cause, those kind of statements. He definitely comes across to me in that way. So that's really interesting in and of itself, and I am definitely excited to see how these two clashing personalities will, well, clash. Redestro is giving Shigaraki an ultimatum to meet him in a very short period of time, but luckily Daruma is listening in and is able to teleport them and everything, so I guess it's going to kind of work out. But now Shigaraki's planning on unleashing Gigantomachia on them because Gigantomachia will track Shigaraki wherever he goes, so it's going to be interesting. So it seems like this arc may center on these two forces clashing, but we also saw in present day they seem to be on each other's side working together, so I'm wondering what that's going to mean. How are they going to end up working together and why? I guess we'll have to see. But I'm definitely very excited for this. So far, I can see why people are so hyped for this. Why this, for manga readers, is one of the pinnacles of this series, and why so many were really waiting for this. And apparently, this arc was supposed to actually take, or was supposed to be shown before the training with Endeavor and all. That's how it was in the manga, apparently. But I guess the anime switched around so the season would end on a high note instead of ending on the Endeavor training and all. Which I guess I kind of get. But I mean, if this stuff takes place prior to the events of the Endeavor training, just in terms of timeline and everything, I mean, it won't like completely destroy it to see it out of order like this, because it did show that it's like, oh, this took place 2 months in the past or whatnot, so it's like I feel they can make it work. It's not like Peach Boy Riverside, which all the episodes are airing in some random out of order placement, where it's like you basically have to wait for the entire season to end just so you can puzzle piece them back into the right order. It's not like that at all. this is more of a case where it's just like these two arcs are just switched around, but it probably won't destroy anything or really hurt anything to watch them out of order. But we'll see. I'm excited though. Like I said, more Himiko is always awesome. Definitely my favorite villain. And I really do like to see the others too. Dabi, Mr. Compress, Twice, Shigaraki himself. It's going to be interesting to see just more of what they can do and more of what they will do. How far they're willing to go for this plan. And now that Daruma's entered the picture too, how is he going to be involved in all this? And what the fuck was he doing to Shigaraki at that point? Like it seemed like he was almost torturing him, but I'm sure that was more experimentation. So, what was that? Um, I don't know, but either way, we're just going to leave it off here. So tell me in the comments below what you thought of these two episodes of My Hero Academia. And as always, no spoilers, please. I've been again, I had been spoiled on a couple things here just without the context behind them and everything, but I don't want to be spoiled. Please don't let me know anything about what's to come. Just tell me your thoughts on these episodes. But either way, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.